Okay.
I'd like to call to order the August 16th, 2016 regular meeting of the Bowling Green Board of Commissioners and invite you to stand if you choose. I invite Pastor Dave Dearman from Centerpoint Church, recently elected to the Bowling Green County Ministerial Association presidency, to provide our invocation. Reverend Dearman, please, sir.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for a beautiful day today. We thank you for the blessing we have of living in Bowling Green, Kentucky in the United States of America. I ask you today to crown this meeting with your wisdom. Give our commissioners direction, every person that's gathered in this room to transact business, that you would direct it. Thank you, Lord, for a vibrant community that we live in. And I pray that you would bless this meeting with direction and decisions that will continue that. We thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Hill.
Here.
Commissioner Perigin. Here. Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Denning.
Here.
Mayor Wilkerson.
Here. Recognitions tonight? Anyone? I want to congratulate the Bowling Green East Little League, and they're advancing to the World Series this week. Wish them well as they continue. Mr. DeFebo, you have comments tonight.
Yeah, yes, I do, Mayor. I'd like to use part of my time to inform the commission and the public about the work we're hope to be doing at Crosswinds Lakes, and that'll commence in a second here, but we also need to have an executive session, and Kate will read the reason.
Pursuant to KRS 61-810C for discussions of pending litigation against the City of Bowling Green.
So move. Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Perigin. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Mr. Belcher, you have something for us tonight.
I do. Thank you for the time, Mr. Febo and Mayor Commissioners. I guess first thing, can you see that? Is that on your screen? It's not on your screen.
It will be in just a second.
We'll take care of it.
There you go.
You go. Thank you. So we came to you in the end of June and presented to you an issue we're having at the Crosswinds Golf Course. In precise, it was lake number 2 and lake number 9 that basically was losing water and had an exposure of the liner, creating an issue, which is the lake wasn't holding the water any longer due to the karst environment and such. Myself and Matt Powell from Public Works presented the information we had at that time, and from that meeting, we were led to go out to the public and kind of get some feedback directly from the public. So from there, that's why I'm here tonight, to kind of tell you what we received and how we have used our time since June 21st. After that moment, I got to incorporate Ms. Karen Foley and Neighborhood Community Services. They allowed us to kind of work together, and we developed a survey that was sent out, that was developed and sent. I guess a link was sent to an internet survey for the neighbors our surrounding Crosswinds. From that survey was available throughout the entire month of June and July. I should say not the month. At the end of June and all month of July, we had a little bit more than 35 respondents for the survey. All right, that survey was also made available to individuals that played golf at Crosswinds. They're given information if they chose to do it as well. But that was mailed directly to the neighbors surrounding Crosswinds Golf Course, and so that was the first step we had. The second step we did was we held a neighborhood meeting. That neighborhood meeting was held at the Crosswinds Golf Course. We called it a patio party, I guess. It was a little presentation. Once again, the entire neighborhood was invited. Golfers were invited to come out and hear our present situation and scenarios to repairs, and then what ideas they had or what desires they had to proceed forward. Once again, right about the same number. I think it was at 36 people signed in that night. I believe we had a few more show up after the sign-in sheet was put away. We had, proud to say, it's one of the great things about my job is getting to go out and meet the community, the public, We had a great response to both the survey and the presentation. I'll go one step farther and tell you that that meeting, the patio party we had at Crosswinds, the neighbors, the golfers, they wanted to be updated when we was going to present. We updated them, and I believe a fine contingent are here tonight. So once again, that speaks volume to our public and the interest they have in our facilities here at Bowling Green. So from that, I can give you the results. Nearly unanimously, the property owner, well, it was unanimous on the property owner side. The property owners gave us the direct result of saying they'd like to have the lakes repaired as is with a new liner and water in. Of course, we gave them scenarios of repairing as is, a dry basin, or a combination of the two between each lake. The number one scenario, or number one reason for such from the property owners, is the value of their estate surrounding the golf course. And that was the number one concern I can relay on to you guys, is that they wanted to make sure that they felt like anything less than what was there would have a negative effect on their property values. I can tell you from the golfer, the next step that the property owners told us was they do enjoy the wildlife, the birds, their turtles. There are a number of other things that are associated with the lakes that they enjoy having. They enjoy watching the ducks, that sort of thing. There are fish there. We don't allow fishing, but there are fish there. So it's not uncommon that we've had people feed the fish, that sort of thing. As far as the golfers go, they're not concerned about the property values. They may enjoy the wildlife, can't say they don't, but their main reasoning for saying yes, they prefer the lake is strictly from the golf side. Aesthetics, I think that would share in the property values as well, but aesthetics of the course itself, and then the actual pace of play for the course. It's a little bit difficult to find a golf ball in water rather than a naturalized area of grass. So that would quickly sum up. I'm here today just to recommend or give you those recommendations from the public. Where do we go from here? If a construction project to replace as is that the chosen path, I can tell you what we'd be looking at is a project that would probably be around the 210-day mark, plus or minus weather. So as we are here today, we feel like we could have this project out for bid immediately and have a contractor on contract. We are at the middle of August, within the next month, and we could have construction. I'll put it this way: we feel like we could have construction complete by April of next calendar year. The good news for the golf course is that is the non-peak season. The bad news for construction is that's the non-peak season. So, but that's what we'll be looking at. We feel like that's within our realm of possibilities, and we feel like we can get that done as long as the weather gods shine well on us, literally, for some of that work. I do have, within that line of thinking, if that is what is decided, really, any construction project, one way or the other, would be similar, whether it's dry basin or continue back to wet. But this is just an overview of the whole course. I just want to show you the relation of Lake number 2 and Lake number 9 to each other. Focusing on, let me get down to this page first. Number 9, our ideas presently would be that we would stage in the convention center, the downtown, the Visitors Bureau parking lot there, right off Crosswinds. We'd do some staging there. We would come down the golf course, the cart path. We would cross, in essence, right over here on top of the storm drain, getting to 9, minimizing our effect of the fairways, and of course not number 9 green, and get to number 9 that way. That's what our initial thoughts are. The water would have to be drained, and the muck removed, old liner removed, and then reverse the course to get everything back to its common state. As far as number 2 goes, we don't feel like we have to go out of the course to get to number 2 because of, once again, the relationship of the two. Right at the very end, that's number 9 lake right there. So we feel like we can actually get to number 2 by going right across the naturalized areas and have no effect on the course. We think we have minimal effect on the course that way, at least damage to the course. So that would be our plan with number 2, just like I described on number 9. It would be draining the water. It would be taking out the muck in the liner and then doing vice versa, with one major task involved too, which would be making the necessary repairs to the land. That would be included as well.
So your dump trucks are gonna have to come back out on,
They would follow that same trail, yes, sir. Now, I will tell you this, and this part of this would be up for debate with our contractor too, but my cursor's on Wilkinson Trace now. So it would not be out of the realm of possibility that construction equipment could go out that way once it gets to number 2, but that would be, you know, one of the things we are cognizant of the fact is any repairs to the cart path, we'd like to minimize, isolate the damage, I'll put it that way, so we're having to do isolated repairs. So in a perfect world, we're going out as we're coming in, so that all of our repair work is isolated to that one path. But I will say that number 2 does offer us that little opportunity to get out on Wilkinson Trace, and that could very well prove to be easier and such as well. With that said, I'd be happy to answer any direct questions or anything that you may have, I guess indirect questions too, that you may have about the process or what we're looking to do.
Questions for Mr. Belcher?
You say you're going to start with 9 and then go to 2?
That would be our initial ideas, would be get the equipment to 9 and then go to 2. Now, as far as, I guess as a good segue, I'll go ahead and mention the effects of the course as far as the operation goes. Obviously, the contractor, I do feel like it's fair to work out the schedule with the contractor and bring in, but in my opinion, worst case scenario, we're a 9-hole course during construction or reconstruction, however you want to look at it. But I do think those days can be, I don't believe it would be the entire time that we have, you know, let's say hypothetically speaking, October to April. I don't believe it would be a 9-hole course that entire time. I believe there may be more isolated times that we may have to be 9-hole, but I would like to believe that we have the opportunity to be an 18-hole course with revising tee boxes, you know, making to a par 3, that sort of thing. We may be able to do some things like that during the construction to limit the actual play, so it's not a 9-hole course the entire time.
I think the golfers would appreciate that if that can be accomplished just by rearranging some and having some
Yep.
temporary tee boxes.
Yes, sir. That would definitely be in our plans because, you know, we'd like to have, I'll put it this way, we want to have an 18-hole course as much as possible during that time. So that would be our goal as well.
Brent, would the neighborhood be notified when this is going to start so that they're kind of
Sure,
prepared
yeah,
for
we
the
can
noise
notify.
and the dust and the?
Not a problem. I think Karen has proven doing a tremendous job of notifying the neighbors on when we have some things, and I believe that would be very simple for us to do is let them know. You know, with this project, we don't actually anticipate what we call a lot of muck, sludge at the bottom of the lakes, but you know, that we're going to have to deposit that in the naturalized area now that exists, and some of that as well. So all those things, yes, ma'am, we can inform our neighbors of where we are.
From the folks that I've talked to, I think there would be a big appreciation to make sure that we return these lakes with water in them and make that a part of the landscape that's out there as part of the golf course. So
We are
That's
definitely in
great.
favor of that, and
it's great.
If somebody's name is on the golf ball down there at the bottom, are you going to return those? I've got a few.
Hello.
It would be appropriate for Matt to come up. We'd like to ask him a few questions.
Mr. Powell?
Matt, shorter is better, please. Can you share with the commission and the public some of the challenges to have lakes in this heavily karst environment and what efforts you and we have taken to make sure these lakes don't develop the same problems they had years ago?
Sure. First of all, everybody's pretty comfortable with the term karst now. We kind of know what that means. Basically, if we keep soil saturated directly above the bedrock, those soils begin to feed through vertical fissures and form soil arches. Once those soil arches reach a certain size, they can't hold themselves and they collapse, and that's 99.9% of the time what we call a sinkhole. The fact that we're trying to keep water above board in an area that is so karst is kind of what leads to these issues. A lot of ponds aren't going to form out here naturally. We're kind of trying to work against nature a little bit because it's a golf course. We've got different goals in mind for this particular piece of property at this time. What we think we've got going on now is that there's some karst influence, and that can be in the pipes that are leading into the ponds. It can be in the ponds themselves, under the liners. These problems aren't unique to us. Local industries had the same sort of issues trying to keep their retention basins, detention basins in good shape. What we'll do as we go through this is we're going to move from a PVC liner, which is particularly susceptible to UV degradation, which I think is what we see here. That UV degradation is exacerbated by the fact that the water levels fluctuate. We don't have a lot of good water covering the liner, so that it degrades over time, degrades too fast. We'll switch from that material to an HDPE, a high-density polyethylene. That's a product that I'm getting pretty familiar with the longer that I work here. I've got several acres of it under my belt now, and it holds up extremely well. It's reasonably easy to install, and it'll hold up a lot better than the PVC has. While we're doing that, should we encounter whatever karst feature is influencing our water loss now, we'll repair it while we're in there. But we've been unable to identify, specifically with number 9, we've been unable to identify any point source and say this is our water loss. We're going to have to encounter that as we move forward with number 9. With number 2, we've got a much better idea exactly what's going on. We've made an interim repair that leads us to believe that we've got a pretty good handle on what the situation is there, and it's not going to be too complex. Now, moving forward, we really want to try to keep that water in the lakes rather than allowing it to backfeed back up into the pipes, which is the current situation. So we are going to make some upgrades. If this project moves forward, at least with the concept drawings that we have now, we'll install some boxes at the ends of the inlets where the water comes into the pond that won't allow the water to backfeed back into those pipes. Should you see a ruptured bell or a cracked pipe, things like that, that can drive karst failure up underneath the golf course itself, up underneath the fairways, in those pipes that allows that water to bleed back out of the pond and go somewhere else. So essentially we're going to install some checks that will prohibit that from happening. One of the other issues that these ponds have right now is the dry wells, which are the vertical connectivity down into the karst that allows the excess water to leave, are connected to the ponds with either soil or stone-based pathways to allow that water to cross from the pond over into the dry well. Those are prone for failure, so we'll upgrade those as well. We'll make sure that we have concrete connections, anti-seep collars, which are vertical pieces that we'll put around the pipes to make sure water can't chase along the pipe. And essentially what we're going to do with this upgrade is seal that water in and make sure that that water goes precisely where we want it to be and not allow it any pathways out on its own so that it can go out and find some future karst collapse. So yes, the area that we're in creates some issues for us. It drives some of the expense that we have with reconstruction. However, it's not an insurmountable task. We've got some good ideas and we think we can knock that out.
All righty then.
All right.
No, there were
I like
several
that.
members of the neighborhood that were here. Did we answer your questions, or did you have something else on your mind that we want to make sure we cover? Nope.
All right, thank you for your time.
Good job. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
We want to commence work immediately. We want to commence work immediately. Okay.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good job.
All right, approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on August 2nd, 2016.
So move. Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Perigin. Any discussion or corrections? Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Benning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Next item is public comments for an item that may not be on tonight's agenda. The public might want to bring it to our attention. This would be that opportunity, and I believe you're up, sir.
How are you all?
Fine.
My name is D. Andrew Porter, D period space capital A, Andrew Porter. And Bowling Green is my adoptive home. I am actually the founder of the West Kentucky Pride Foundation, a nonprofit organization that is building a sense of community for the LGBTQ Kentuckians from Warren County all the way to Fulton. And today I would like to address this council to speak on the needs for a fairness ordinance in Bowling Green to add sexual orientation and gender identity, just 4 words, to the city's already existing non-discrimination policy. Many others have come before me and spoken about your responsibility to address the concerns for your constituents, the protecting of your citizens, doing the right thing, and even the financial benefits of a fairness anti-discrimination policy. And I'm here to provide a different perspective and address the responsibility that you have not only to your local community, but also to the communities that are surrounding. I was born here in Bowling Green. I was actually raised and went to Greenwood High School, and then when my family relocated for work, I was a graduate of Allen County Scottsville High School, and then went on to college at Murray State University, where I've been living. Upon graduating, I've taken many jobs and moved around and lived in several large cities as well as smaller cities across the country. But as most loyal Kentuckians will tell you, no matter where you go, there's always a love of home. I missed it, and so now I'm back, starting my own endeavors, and I'm really excited to rejoin this community. But Bowling Green is the third largest city of the state, and many individuals in the counties surrounding this community are looking to you all for guidance. As I'm doing work in rural space, as I'm doing work in Western Kentucky, oftentimes I hear, well, why do we need to do it? So-and-so's not. They're looking for your leadership in the decision around business, investments, and policies, and they're looking for your leadership in this decision. This is a call to action. So I need you to step up and start talking about LGBTQ fairness, and I need you to lead this community and those who seek your leadership in becoming safer and more welcoming for all of your citizens. It's 4 words, but it can make such a difference for those of us who live in a constant threat of discrimination. It's 4 words, and if those can't seem to get your attention, maybe these will. Election day is coming. Thank you.
What does that mean?
Never grow complacent in your space because change is inevitable. Your community is asking for you to make a decision. Your community is asking you to speak up and talk about these issues. You've received over 1,000 petitions and a list of over 100 business owners living right here in Warren County who are supportive of fairness policy. Election day is coming.
Anyone else? All right, first item is our second reading for ordinance BG 2016-25.
Ordinance rezoning real estate, ordinance rezoning a tract of land containing 6.17 acres from RS1A Single Family Residential and HB Highway Business to HB Highway Business located at 1818 Campbell Lane, presently owned by Park Street Church of Christ Incorporated.
So move.
Second.
Hill, second by Denning. This is second reading of rezoning that we considered last time. Is there any further discussion or questions? Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-150.
Municipal order approving the probationary appointment of Robert A. Alvey to the position of Athletics Facility Coordinator in the Parks and Recreation Department.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Williams. Mr. Febo.
Thank you, Mayor. A recent promotion to another position in the department created this vacancy. As is our protocol, we advertised for the position. We had 21 interested parties. We interviewed 6. And from that distillation, it's our opinion that Robert Alvey is the best candidate to do this work. He has not only a bachelor's, but a master's in facility and event management. This position involves basically organizing at multiple aspects, field sports. I believe Mr. Alvey is here.
Congratulations. We've been looking over your resume. Looks pretty good. Glad you're with us. Do you have anything you'd like to add before we vote? Just remember that we haven't voted yet.
I'm just looking forward to bringing my experience and education to the city of Bowling Green, and I'm looking forward to seeing what I can do with the program that they already have, and see where it goes.
Congratulations. We look forward to it. Any comments or questions?
I'd just like to say that I know his father-in-law, and you did good by picking into that family. He's a good guy.
Thank you. They're great. They're good to me. I live 2 hours away. I'm from Union County, and they've really given me a family here in Bowling Green. So for that, I'm very appreciative.
Good for you.
Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Congratulations. Now you go to work. Municipal Order 2016-151.
Municipal order approving the probationary appointment of Julie J. Myers to the position of Executive Assistant in the Police Department.
So moved. Second.
By Hill, second. Perigin, Mr.
Thank you, Mayor. This is Chief Hawkins' most principal administrative arm in his department. Doug, this time went out to an open solicitation. We had 141 people show an interest to work for our city in this role. Quite a discernment process. We used various technologies. We had 21 applicants go through various testing protocols, including a background check. From that distillation, Doug is recommending that we appoint Julie Myers. Julie, as some of you may know, used to work at the convention center, and I believe is currently working for one of our hotel owners in the area. We're very pleased to have her. I believe Julie is here.
She is. You knew you were going to be working with Doug Hawkins, right?
That's what I was getting ready to ask. Got to be a strong lady.
All right, any discussion or questions?
I'm going to say congratulations. Julie and I were colleagues in the hospitality industry, and she's fantastic. Great to work with.
Forward to it. Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Congratulations. Municipal Order 2016-152.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting the purchase of Sloan Convention Center carpet from interior designer Y Factor Studio of Evansville, Indiana, in the amount not to exceed $38,000.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Perigin. Mr.
As the commission knows, we are in the pursuit of improving the look of our convention center. We went out to a bid to some significant changes to upgrade the look at the center. One of those involved putting new carpet in. One of the problems we had was we didn't have enough money originally, so we had to take things off. It occurred to Mike and others that we probably could afford it if we could go out and buy the carpet ourselves using our interior decorators' access to the market. We've done so, and we believe that for the amount of $38,000, we can achieve our goal and carpet the convention center as planned and still stay within budget. Michael is here if you have any questions.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-153.
Municipal order approving a contract through cooperative purchase with Rico USA Incorporated of Houston, Texas, under the Kentucky State Pricing Contract for the purchase of Rico copiers, including a service contract, in the amount of $118,372.63.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Dent.
As the commission knows, one of the things that the city and most governments do is produce a lot of records and information. That information has to be copied and stored. We're here tonight to ask you to allow us to use the state purchasing contract to replace 23 of our worst printer copiers. It's our plan over a 2-year period to replace our copiers and printers and to allow our workers to work efficiently. Lynn Hartley is here if you have any questions.
Comments or questions? Call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-154.
Municipal order authorizing software subscription services from Tyler Technologies Incorporated in the amount of $111,591 for fiscal year 2017.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Perigin. Mr. Febo.
Thank you, Mayor. About 5 years ago, the city purchased what was known as New World Software. It's our omnibus software used by all departments for personnel and purchasing and finance and budgeting. And we need to maintain it every year. Tonight, we're here to ask you to approve the yearly maintenance contract for what is now known as Tyler Technology. We had tracked the costs, and these costs are right online. Lynn is here to explain any questions you may have about New World or Tyler.
Comments?
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-155.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting the trade-in and purchase of patrol rifles and accessories for the police department from Bud's Police Supply of Lexington, Kentucky, for a total net amount of $38,359.50.
So move.
Second.
Hill, second by Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Back in 2006, the city made the decision to make it, the change from a tactical shotgun platform to a 223 platform for its rifle instead of, and we are here tonight to ask you to allow us to trade in those 11-year-old weapons to purchase through Bud's in Lexington, trade our old 223s in for a new Smith & Wesson M&P 15T, the latest technology. It will also have a laser sighting or red dot sighting on it. Bud's is giving us quite a significant trade-in on our current guns, and it would cost us approximately $145 difference for new weapons. This is something that's needed and wanted by the men. Doug is here, and he could talk for a while about this if you'd like.
Questions? Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-156.
Municipal order approving the continuation of an agreement with Western Kentucky University for leaf composting services for fiscal year 2017 in the amount not to exceed $45,900.
So move. Second.
By Hill and second by Perigin. Mr. DeFebo.
Mayor, this is one of the collaborative efforts we do with Western Kentucky. As the commission knows, one of our signature services is removal of leaves during leaf season. We partner with Western Kentucky to take those leaves and using their equipment and their services, compost them, and we do this through contract. We pay them $45.9, and we get to share 25% of the sales revenue. This is, again, a yearly renewal of this. Mr. Meredith is here if you have any questions.
Comments or questions? Being involved with Western to get their leaves off the street. That's a great program.
Hopefully, people won't put them out in the street.
Out in the gutter, that's the purpose of taking them up, is so they won't clog up the stormwater system too, so.
I was over on, I forget the streets, by PNC Bank on Fairview. Left off of Fairview to go down the street, it goes right into Kroger's. Yes, Riverwood. People had put at least 8-foot-high leaves that was blocking one whole lane. In other words, when you come up on the leaves, you would have to stop because vehicles going the other way. I called the police department right then and there, sitting right in front of the house. And they were there within a few minutes. They moved the leaves off of the road back on the yard like they were supposed to. And I'm not exaggerating, blocking the whole lane.
People have a little more courtesy. Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning. Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-157.
Municipal order authorizing a contract through non-competitive negotiations with DK Bast Foundation Services, LLC of Litchfield, Kentucky for Fire Station Number 4 mitigation project in the amount of $35,000.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Williams. Mr. DeFebo.
At station number 4, we discovered that there's a problem with the building in terms of one part of the wall is starting to sink. We went out for technical assistance, reviewed the past contract to see any culpability. We believe there is not. We believe we just have bad soils that need to be mitigated. We're here tonight to ask you to allow us to purchase service from DK Bass to install 34 piers in the building to stabilize the wall.
34 piers around the foundation?
Inside the wall, they will cross-cut inside the wall and place those inside, so they have to hand dig, cut the slab against the wall, go down, put the hand piers in, and then cover it back up. So, Greg, can you add anything to that? He can talk in engineer talk, I'm sorry.
Well, not much, but what it is the soil, either if it's not a sinkhole situation, the soil subsidence eventually. A lot of times you see it in cracks on brick walls along foundations. And so what this process does is it drills down through the bedrock and installs steel piers against the bedrock to prevent the subsidence any longer, jacks up the floor to the proper elevation. What they have to do is cut out squares when they insert these, if it's along a whole area, which this one is. And so they'll mitigate it by jacking it up. They'll stabilize the floor, then they'll re-pour it, and it'll be like new, essentially. But those individual piers, there's 34, 35, I think, in this instance, so that's the process.
That's what I meant to say, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to see it when it's in progress, just nosy, see what it looks like. Any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-158.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting bid number 2017-05 for Clear Lane Enhanced De-icer from Cargill Incorporated De-icing Technology Business Unit of North Olmsted, Ohio, in the amount of $59,154.
Motion by Hill, second by Denning.
Even though the weather's warm now, it won't be long before winter is here. And we're always in the process of trying to improve our ability to attack snow and ice. This year, as an aside, we're going to be buying some new truck and add another route with additional man to help us better combat snow. Also, we're here tonight particularly to fill up our ice storage, our de-icer storage facility and buy 600 tons of de-icer. We went out to bid, only one met the specs. The good news is these 600 tons are $7.27 per ton cheaper, so we recommend your approval.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning. Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-159.
Municipal order authorizing and accepting negotiations after sealed bidding for bid number 2016-55 for structural firefighting turnout gear for the fire department from 911 Fleet and Fire Equipment of Florence, Kentucky, in the amount of $77,700.
Second.
Hill, second by Perry.
We were informed that by the maker of our particular bunker gear that we could, our turnout gear, that we could no longer purchase it through Bluegrass. So we had to go out and find another provider of the type of turnout gear that we use. That provider in Kentucky is 911 Fleet and Fire. So we're here tonight to ask you that if we can buy 30 sets of turnout gear from Fleet and Fire. This will be on a multi-year contract with renewals every year. Jason's not here, but that's the story. That was Jason. Oh, I don't see him. Jason, you have anything to add? Okay.
Comments or questions?
So is Bluegrass just no longer carrying these, Kevin? That's correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Or, go ahead, Jason. I don't want to misspeak.
Yes, ma'am. Honeywell, which was the supplier of our morning pride gear, they basically cut Bluegrass. Bluegrass is no longer a vendor, so we had to go back out for bids for 911 fleets.
Questions or comments? Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-160.
Municipal order approving a contract through cooperative purchase with Deere and Company of Cary, North Carolina through Wright Implement One LLC of Bowling Green, Kentucky under the Kentucky State Pricing Contract for the trade-in and purchase of 4 zero-turn mowers for the Parks and Recreation Department in the net amount of $32,949.36.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Perigin. Mr. Febo.
Thank you, Mayor. In this year's budget, we intend to purchase 20 pieces of maintenance equipment and trucks in the Park and Rec Department, equipment that's been needed for some while, but we've held off in trying to save our money. Now it's the time to buy them. We're starting that process by asking you tonight to access the state contract, allow us to turn in for trade 4 of our mowers and buy 4 zero-turn mowers. Brent Belcher, if you have any questions. The provider is a local provider, Wright Implement.
Comments or questions? Call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-161.
Municipal order accepting donation of a lot located in Creekwood Village to be used as part of the City of Bowling Green's Greenways Trail Program.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Williams. Mr. Febo.
Thank you, Mayor. We're constantly trying to expand the greenways as a linear park in our community. We're here tonight to accept a donation of a parcel that is located in Creekwood Village, will be part of Transportation Alternative Grant to allow us to build 1/4 mile of greenways to Moth School. Miranda Clemens is here, but it's essentially acceptance of a donation. If you'd like to hear more about it, Miranda again is here.
Comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. 2016-162.
Municipal order authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into grant agreements for select neighborhood action program grants with various neighborhoods.
So moved.
Second.
Denning, second by Hill. Mr.
One of the things I know the commission is very proud of is how we approach problems in our neighborhoods. Is we use neighborhood groups orchestrated by Karen Foley and those who work with her to develop identity and fix problems in neighborhoods. We also use an incentive program known as the Select Neighborhood Action Program. For 18 years, we've been given grants using our own money to neighborhoods to add the nice touches to neighborhoods to create a special identity. We had 12 applicants, 3 are new, 2 are from the reinvestment area, and we're proud that we're able to do all of them this year. It might be appropriate if you would allow Karen Foley to come up and talk to you briefly about the kind of things we're going to be doing with this money.
Good afternoon.
Hi, Karen.
This is one of the, sort of the premier programs that we have for our neighborhood groups. We do have a few of the groups that are represented here tonight, and one of the projects that I did want to point out to you, since we were discussing ponds earlier, through SNAP, we're actually going to be helping one of our neighborhood groups deal with their own pond issue. So that's just something when you have ponds here in a karst topography, I guess, that we have to cope with. All of our groups do have to meet eligibility requirements. We review all of the applications. One of the projects that I did want to point out to you that has already been underway is one at Parker Bennett Curry Elementary School and Northern Heights Parker Bennett Neighborhood Association, who I'm fairly sure all of you have met with them at least once before, has elected to basically join with that project through a neighborhood school partnership. So we're pleased that SNAP is available to further that project along. That is for an outdoor classroom and a natural playscape project that's pretty unique. So we're glad that SNAP can be a part of that. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about any of the projects that are here. And I'd like to recognize some of the neighborhood groups who are here tonight, just so that we can thank them for being ambitious enough to put all the work together into preparing those applications. So if you're here for a SNAP grant application, if you please stand. Thank you.
I mean, Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I recognize pretty well all of the communities that you have listed here. I am not familiar with the Best African Club.
Yes, this is actually a newer organization. This is one of our international community groups. And part of what they have applied for is actually filing their incorporation status, and it's a neighborhood organizing grant. Last year, we opened up our SNAP grant process to any of our international community groups that LADA works with. We had one group last year that was approved, and this is our second group this year.
Where are they located?
Well, they operate in the city limits of Bowling Green.
Well, I understand that, but
What neighborhood are they representing?
yeah, what neighborhood?
They-
All of our others represent a neighborhood, and so I'm just
Yes.
wanting to get familiar with.
They are an organization or group made up primarily of foreign-born residents seeking to assist members of our various international communities along the spectrum of integration into community life. So under our What is a Neighborhood organization, that is the qualification that allows them to apply. So they don't represent a geographic neighborhood. They represent an international group of residents based here in Bowling Green.
This concerns me. Everything else, first, they're the highest. They receive more than any of our neighborhoods did. And everything the neighborhoods are, their projects, it's something that will last. All of these things, I don't know that anything's going to last for $5,000. I have a hard time with that.
I have the same feelings. I think we've discussed this before about using the SNAP money for events as opposed to capital improvements to the neighborhoods. I think that's what my impression of the SNAP grants are for, but it may not fit, the guidelines may not fit what my thoughts are on it, so.
We had the understanding a couple of years ago that community isn't just based on geography.
What?
The community isn't just based on geography. For years, we've operated in a geographic-centered neighborhood action process. And with our introduction of the International Communities Liaison, we recognize that geography is just one way that people organize into a community. That people also organize into community as based on where they're born. So they don't all live together. They might, but they might not have to. So we wanted to expand that to still have those tools available for those community groups to organize together, to build the relationships that they need to integrate here in the States and to be organizations here in Bowling Green. So we expanded the definition a couple years ago, just like Karen said, to open it up to those types of groups, with the understanding that not everything is based on geography. It can still be based on other things. And that was one way of expanding that in. Last year, it was Ariki. This year, it's the Best African Club. Those are the only two that we've had come forward. So they're inherently, since they don't have a geographic place, a neighborhood, a subdivision, things like that, they're not going to have brick and mortar type projects. So the projects have to be a little bit different because they don't have they can't do an entrance sign because there's not a sign to enter to. We don't want to get into long-term rent cost or buying buildings or things like that. So it is going to be more program driven. We recognize that, and we've had to be more flexible on our side because we're used to, oh, let's do some landscaping, let's repaint a fence, let's do an entrance sign, let's do a park, things like that. So we've had to be more flexible on our side in looking at this, but we still believe that there's value in helping these groups organize to build their own community and to integrate into the American life.
Well, I don't have any problem with that, and I'm for that 100%. I guess the thing that did catch my eye is the $5,000 versus some of the other.
Now keep in mind that a new organization is eligible to apply for $5,000.
I understand.
So if they have received funding, and I think it's in the past couple of years, then they're only eligible for $2,500. So one of these other groups could have applied for $5,000 too. They just didn't have a $5,000 project. But $5,000 is the maximum that anybody could apply for.
Is there like some accountability built in, so they've got some trainings and some participation in performances and uniforms? How does that tie back to the use of the money? I mean,
I'll let Karen answer that. She actually administers that part of it.
All of these funds are dispersed on a reimbursement basis, so it's not like we write a check and then they come show me what they did with it. They give me an invoice and I have to look at it and make sure that it's in compliance with their grant agreement, which that's another thing, they do have to sign a grant agreement that outlines exactly what they intend to use the money for. And Brenna's absolutely right. $5,000 is the maximum amount that anyone can apply for. And this year, they happen to be the only people who applied for that amount. There are some other new groups that could have applied for more, but instead they applied for $4,940, or they applied for $2,520.40. So I don't want you to think that, you know, that was what the request was for. Had some of these other groups been eligible to apply for more, or had they asked for more, they could have gotten the $5,000 possibly as well. And I should note also, under the program guidelines, and I know many of you may have assumed, because so many of the projects are something hard and you can see it. You know, it's a landscape project or whatever. But if you check the program guidelines, which have been in place for years and years, it does give examples that include things like, youth programs or safety programs. It does list that. So we've not excluded that in our guidelines ever. So and you may not realize that because traditionally we're doing signposts or we're doing an entry sign or those kinds of things, but that kind of activity is not excluded from our guidelines.
It sounds like to me some of the other groups did a lot of research on exactly what they were going to spend, and that's why you've got those dollar amounts that they asked for. This group, as I understand it then, may or may not get the $5,000 if they don't spend it, right?
That's
and you
right.
don't approve it.
Because they have to be able to submit invoices or documentation that shows what the expense was for.
Okay.
And sometimes we do have groups that they may over budget in their application, and then by the time they spend it, they're not actually receiving the full amount of their grant because it didn't end up costing them that much.
Question. Still a little confused, so help me out. My lack of knowledge here is pretty limited. With some of the other neighborhood groups that we're looking at here, I know there's been such things as the installation of the real pretty street signs or whatever, and so on and so on. A club, what kind of submission would be coming from a club? Just give me an example of what we would be looking for or not looking for from a club versus the other community groups. Help me out.
If you're asking for this particular group, they're requesting for funds to basically outfit their dance team. And they're also asking for funds for basically mileage to transport these kids that are participating either to rehearsals or to some of the events that they're hosting with the families that are part of sort of their integration and trainings, that sort of thing. So what they're going to have to provide to me as an example is here's our invoice of where we have purchased these items from this vendor. And I'll have to work either with that vendor to issue a purchase order, they're going to have to give me where they've paid out of pocket and I reimburse them. I mean, I don't just We don't just cut a check to the group and let them go spend.
Aaron, did they give you numbers, how many children or how many families are participating in this?
I think it's right at 36,
36 families?
36 families.
So we could double that, consider 2? See what I'm getting at? How many people are we going to touch with this? Is it 36 total, or is it 72?
I would say they will do whatever they can with the money that they have.
So the kids are gonna be transported to other community events, buildings, et cetera, and
It's
where
my
they're gonna be
understanding
transported to?
that this group already exists and has been doing some things, some activities, but they're somewhat limited because they don't have the costuming, they don't have that for the kids that they want to be able to show off. So they've performed, I think, at the International Festival and some other places, but what they would like to be able to do ultimately is to have a more consistent schedule that they put together where they can get out to other community groups, share their culture, and then at the same time, they're working with the parents to help integrate them into community life here in Bowling Green.
So we could have each one of the international groups that perform once a year at Circus Square, any of those individual groups can apply for a SNAP grant for a purpose.
Potentially.
But just as also, any of our 75 neighborhoods could apply for a SNAP grant.
And I understand that.
And I also want to add one thing. The organizer of this application was a recent graduate of our Academy for New Americans. So she had graduated from that, so this is, what we were hoping to see is people come through the process, get educated on other things, and then, find other opportunities to connect their community with here in the local community.
And personally, I'm not being critical, of course. With the group, I'm just a little confused as to, this is something new to us. This is the first time this game plan has been presented to us, I believe, isn't it?
This is the second. Last
Second?
year, we had one.
Okay.
A RIKI, which stands for something, I just don't remember what it all is. Association for Rescue and Intervention of Kentucky is a mainly Congolese group that has been working. They received funding last year. They didn't come back for any funding this year. So they received some funding last year. This is a new organization that's coming in this year. So this is our second year of this, and we've only had it as an eligible activity for 2 years, or an eligible group for 2 years. Because previously they would not have been able to because they were not a geographic neighborhood. We didn't want to set up a whole nother thing. We wanted to expand the possibilities of SNAP to address what we believed was an opportunity in the international community by not just focusing in on a geographic area.
And I think we as citizens of our community, being the good citizens that we are, all want to know and learn what we can about other groups that are coming into the country. And certainly I am not in any way not taking this seriously, but I guess it just threw me off personally.
It is
because
different.
we used to think of bricks and blocks, concrete, and all of a sudden I see.
And for 16 years, that's what we did.
Yeah, I see a club,
Yeah.
well, hell, any club.
But,
could
but,
maybe-
well, we did limit it to the foreign-born population club, because there's a lot of other social clubs in this community. So we did we didn't want to open it up to just everybody and their brother. We wanted to limit it down to target the groups that we were trying to do. And that was part of our outreach with LEDA in the international community.
I understand now.
Okay.
Brent, can churches apply for these since they're a community of sorts?
The way the program guidelines are written currently, it does not really allow for a church. It says, we have a pretty specific definition on what is a neighborhood organization, and to include these international groups, we came up with a specific definition. That's the additional bullet that we added on there. The school projects have been something that have been available since the very first year we did them, but it is based on the assumption that there is a neighborhood group that is part of that partnership. Because we know there are lots of needs at schools, neighborhood schools, we know that. But we didn't want every single neighborhood PTA or PTO for every single need they could potentially have at a school to use SNAP for that venue. However, it is open for a neighborhood group that decides, hey, we're going to apply on behalf of our neighborhood school because they have this need. So that is something that's available, and by and large, for many years, that's been used for things also visible, a community reader board, or a walking trail, or a piece of playground equipment, those sorts of things. But potentially, at some point, it could be used for some sort of a neighborhood safety youth program under the guidelines as they are. And I will tell you that, one of the things sort of on my goals for this year is between now and the start of the next grant cycle is to sort of revisit, what are some potential other gaps that we have that would be good for SNAP to be able to fill in our community. So, and we've discussed it off and on over a number of years. Do we let nonprofits apply? Do we let these kinds of groups apply? And we've had that discussion a number of different times, and we've tweaked the program at different points of time. We will probably do that again between now and the next grant cycle so that, the guidelines are like we want them for next year.
And we're going to verify that everyone participating in this club is a resident of the city of Bowling Green.
If you would like me to do that, I can do that.
I think in other projects, other things besides SNAP, we've said we want city money to stay with city citizens, so yes. I don't know what you all think.
Capital-oriented and program-oriented and always have been, but that's just me.
Would the commission like to have Karen do an overview of the guidelines at a coming meeting?
Not for me, yeah.
No,
Okay.
maybe possibly discuss everything at the retreat.
Okay.
And review it. One more thing,
One more item, right?
that's right.
We'll be starting at 4 in the morning now, won't we?
We'll be there.
Yeah, I'll be there on time.
Discussion.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. 2016-163.
Municipal order approving and authorizing an agreement to expand and improve drainage facility between the City of Bowling Green and Greenview Hospital Incorporated related to Canton Avenue Drainage Project.
So moved.
Second.
Perigin, Mr. DeFebo.
Thank you, Mayor. As the commission knows, one of our programs we try to do is stormwater. On this year's program list is Canton Drainage Area. In order to do that, we would need approximately .20 acres that is owned by Greenview Hospital. Our staff come up with a creative way of doing that without spending money for that property. We have a paper street known as Loudon Drive that is near that area that the hospital has shown an interest in. It's a paper street, it doesn't exist. Our plan is to exchange the .2 acres for .30 acres of a paper street to allow us to complete the drainage area. Greg Meredith is here if you have any technical questions.
Comments or questions?
Yeah, one,
Yes, sir.
Mayor. Greg, are we talking about the drainage area right behind where Western Kentucky Orthopedic used to be?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's directly between Canton and Ashley Circle. Yes.
Okay.
Are you already doing work there?
We worked on that.
We are currently doing work,
Okay.
but we're doing work in an area that's away from the property that we're transferring now. We're working actually on a water line relocation currently and part of the basin, so.
Discussion. Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-164.
Municipal order declaring excess right-of-way along Weston Avenue surplus and authorizing the exchange of the surplus right-of-way to Living Hope Baptist Church Missionary Incorporated for property necessary for the Small House Road Improvements Project.
So moved.
Second.
That's a race over here.
As the commission and the public knows, Small House Road is our flagship road project this year. We're happy to report, thanks to Gene and Melissa Kanzler, we have all the necessary properties to start construction of that road. Might be appropriate if Gene could talk about the last parcel of this, which involves a payment for a right-of-way as well as a trade of, excess parcels that we have. Gene?
Yes, sir. As Kevin said, we have now settled with everybody. We've got 2 yet to close on. One of them is Living Hope. If you've gone out there recently, you realize that Living Hope's been impacted probably more than anybody else out there. West Kentucky Gas, or Atmos Gas, is out there now doing their work, and you see where they're going. If also, I guess I learned one thing in this project: see where the light poles and telephone poles are, because where they are, that's not where we're going. So road widening is now going on Living Hope side for that intersection because there's no electric poles there. So that's going to impact them as well too, because that's where most of the road widening is going in that area. We have reached, we did get that property appraised because of how much we were impacting them. But during the negotiations with them, we're hearing them twice. They also own a house on the other side of Small House Road too. Back behind them is one of our larger drainage areas is going behind that house. But during the negotiations with them, and we knew about it because we talked to Living Hope, I guess, a few years ago about it. If you recall, when Weston Avenue was realigned, and now it curves, it didn't used to curve, it used to go on where Christian Way is now, that created about 36,500 square feet of excess right-of-way, which means city-owned right-of-way that's between Weston Avenue and the Living Hope property. We don't need it. We don't want it. The only people can benefit from it is Living Hope. It's just, about this, I don't know how wide, maybe that wide, but quite a few feet long. During this negotiations, they asked if the city would be willing, as part of the compensation, to deed that property to them. We thought, sure, like I said, we don't need it, don't want it, it's surplus and excess to us. Let them, especially since we're taking so much off them off the Small House Road, let them make up a little bit off the western side. So we agreed to do that. While this board gave me permission to negotiate to purchase a property, I didn't read in that the ability to convey property, so I'm basically coming back in tonight to make sure that we cross all the bridges, that I've got approval to get the mayor to sign a deed conveying this excess right-of-way to Living Hope as part of their compensation for the Small House Road project.
Do I need to abstain?
Probably not any more than I do. I'm a member as well, so Jeff's a member. I don't know who all's members.
Everybody's got to leave then.
Maybe so.
Comments or discussion? You have no question? Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Order 2016-165.
Municipal order authorizing and approving the submittal of a loan application to the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority to fund a water infrastructure project in the amount of $6,800,000.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Williams. Mr. Febo.
Thank you, Mayor. Our partners at BGMU want to constantly keep the quality of their product in good quality, so they're here tonight to ask your permission to apply for a loan of $6,800,000 to develop a new water disinfection system. Pursuant to regulations, they have to get your permission to do that. The responsibility for the payment of this loan through Kentucky Infrastructure Authority is solely on BGMU and the ratepayers. Mike Gardner is here if you have any questions, or maybe Rick could add some comments if he'd like.
Here, Mr. Gardner, any comments or questions?
You don't want to talk with Mike.
Well, he did put out a good memo. He explains it pretty well, so.
Well, I wish he would explain, sorry, Mike, but explain to our citizens does this mean, are they going to see a difference in their bills?
This project was anticipated in the last rate increase that we set up, and it's being phased in over a number of years. So, no, it won't increase the ratepayers' bills.
Okay. And city taxpayers, once again, are not paying this loan back?
Yep, we are operating solely off our rates, and there's no city taxes involved at all.
Great, thank you.
Sir?
Please call the roll. Oh, I'm sorry. If you come on up, please, ma'am, give us your name and address.
My name is Janice Miller, and I live at 829 Nutwood.
Mhm.
And a year and a half ago, I was here speaking to this commission, and you would be the only one that wasn't here, about that rate increase that we got. My message tonight, if I had to put one word to why I'm here, it would be accountability. It was my understanding at that meeting that 7.5 years ago, it was 6 years at that time, that the Bowling Green Municipal Utilities had got an increase then to do the very same thing, that they came back and asked for a huge increase to do it again. And I'm just here because I've got an interest vested in it because I live in this city. The one thing that I really want to know, and if I assume, Mr. Williams, that you are still on the board
Yes, ma'am.
as
I am.
a commission representative.
Yes, I am.
I would really like to know how much money has been put in from that increase into the project that they were asking for to replace outdated and in my opinion, what they were saying was dangerous situation with the sewer system. Was that what they come asking for?
Well, I think that was one thing, but we'll get Mr. Gardner back up here and talk about some of that too. But one of the main situations is our aging infrastructure that we have with our pipes in this community, and those are being replaced over time. It would be almost impossible to replace them all at one time, but they're being phased in over time. This particular loan is a loan that they are getting to develop and implement a new water treatment system, and it will not increase anyone's rates.
The paper said it was an upgrade to a disinfection system.
That is correct.
It's an upgrade to it, and they are getting a loan for that. But the big thing the problem that I have is this: if this system is in such a bad shape that they asked for money 7.5 years ago, and then they come back a year and a half ago and ask for more money, why in the world we have to set priorities. That's the big thing, is that we have to set priorities here for what we can do and what we can't do. And $6.8 million financed over 20 years at, you said it was a small interest rate, 2.8%, but I just got a car loan for 2, is a lot of expenditure for a system that cannot maintain itself right now. That's the problem that I have. I mean, we have to be accountable whenever we give money to a public entity, and then we don't follow it up and see what they're doing with it. I couldn't even get an answer as to why. I went to the Bowling Green Municipal, and I looked at all their projection sheets and everything after I was here a year and a half ago. And that increase is producing a very sizable amount of money, and they have been getting this last one for a year and a half. They've been getting the first one, and it continues for 7.5 years. But I do not see anything being done in this city to change it. I mean, where is the money?
Well, the 6.8 that he's asking for, that they are asking for, has nothing to do with what? I mean, I'm confused.
I understand that.
It's not raising anybody's bill. They are paying, they're getting a loan just like anyone would go to Quicken Loans to get a loan. They got to pay it back. We don't have to pay it back. We're not involved in it. So I'm confused as to why they're getting $6.8 million is any major concern.
The major concern that I have is that our infrastructure, right here in the city, whether it's the water lines or the sewer lines or whatever, is not being fixed.
Okay, but he just said, I think a few minutes ago, they're in the process of working on that now with the other thing you were talking about the last time you were here. There are two different things, the way I understand it.
But couldn't they not be the same thing? They're just asking for this 6.8 million
Well,
to
I
do
don't know.
this one thing. But could not that 6.8 million, if they can get a loan for 6.8 million at 2.8% for 20 years, could that money not be used for something else that's more important? I'm the one that's deciding that it's more important, because we can't keep going on, because they're the one that scared me of saying that this is so necessary. It is so necessary that they had to come and ask for this huge this huge rate increase on the water bills. And it's a year and a half later, and nobody has told, there's not been a thing in the newspaper, there's not been anything on this commission that says that they have done anything about that critical situation a year and a half ago.
Mike?
BGMU broadcasts their meetings monthly, and they meet in here, so each month they're explaining to the public and to the board, of which the city commission's representative is Rick, and they have an opportunity then to review that material. So they're presenting that information at the public in a monthly meeting about what's going on, but I don't know if they're answering your specific question.
Mike, can you please tell certain projects that have been done since we have implemented that rate increase? Because I know we did change it, because at first you were going to condense it into just a few years, and we did convince you to spread it out to make it not so hard on our citizens. So what are some projects?
And understand, we're talking some pretty big numbers here. And the water and wastewater infrastructure, as Mr. Williams mentioned, is constantly in need of upgrade. And we're doing that all the time. To refer back to some of the projects that this lady has mentioned, about 7 years ago, we went through an upgrade to our wastewater treatment plant, wastewater. That was dictated by two things. One, we needed more capacity because the community was growing. Secondly, the state gave us some additional requirements that changed the process, and that was a very large loan. That was all applied towards the design and construction of that project, and it was spent specifically on that. About a year and a half ago, we had another project up on Reservoir Hill. We had very old piping that dates back to the 1880s. Original piping that sent water up there with our very first steam-powered pumping station back in the late 1800s. Those pipes were very old, and so we did do an emergency piping when we found out the condition, and that project was roughly about $1 million, and it was done on an emergency basis because of the conditions we found up there. That money was spent all on that project as well. Otherwise, we have regular projects ongoing that we replace water and sewer lines and other aging infrastructure, pump stations, tank upgrades, et cetera. In addition to that, this project that we're talking about now is a new project to address some of the other emerging regulatory concerns about our disinfection, chlorine gas, in that populated area. So we're making a change for safety and also for some water quality aspects to address those needs. So I guess long story short,
yes, we're constantly spending money, constantly upgrading the system because it is old, and it is out of sight, out of mind. And for somebody that's not at those regular board meetings, it would seem like every time they turn around, we're asking for more or getting another loan, and that is true. That's what is required of all water and wastewater systems now because of the nature of the aging infrastructure. So we are keeping up with that. Our spend is some of it internal through rates to do a lot of that line replacement. When we get into these other big projects, we don't generate enough through rates, so we have loans that we go for. But again, it was anticipated that this was coming, so it was included in the rate structure so that we could pay for the loans. So that's kind of a lot of information, but be happy to.
So the 6.8, is it in addition to what you're presently working on to make it a good facility or whatever? In other words, you're in the process of performing step 1. The 6.8 is a step 2 that is going to be a part of the whole process of treating the waste, right?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I wasn't clear. That other project about 7 years ago was wastewater. This is water treatment, so it's a whole different facility, whole different issue. And it's not at all related to that loan that we got.
Mike, can I ask a question? These loans are paid back by rates, though, correct?
Yes, they are.
I mean, there's no other revenue coming
That is
from,
correct.
to BGMU, so the users are contributing
It
to
is a
paying back the
self-supporting
loans.
system. And I might add to just, and notwithstanding the lady's concerns and, you know, lots of costs are going up, I happened to get a rate review or a rate summary of all the utilities in the state of Kentucky. Just received it on my desk yesterday afternoon. BGMU's rate is approximately 65% of what the state average water rate is. So despite the expenditures we've had, we are being effective in keeping costs down relative to others. And I know it's troublesome for some residents and whatnot, but we're holding those costs down as best we can.
Is there a place, like a place on your website or something like that for a citizen to go on and look at what projects are being done currently or what the costs of those projects are? So I think the word accountability is what she's, not sure, but.
There's not on our website currently, although that's not a bad idea. We kind of rely on our board meetings that are held monthly, and it's probably not the best way, but we can probably expand that out.
Or can they go back and look at the board meetings like they can ours at a later time to review what projects were being discussed or?
Certainly that information is available, and we'll certainly make it available if anybody has concerns.
I don't know if that would be helpful to her.
But the 6.8 million today is not going to have an effect on any increases that are already there for the last money that you got.
That is correct. The rate adjustments that we put in place a year or so ago took this into account. There will be no other rate increase as a result of this. It's already built into the rates.
The one thing that concerns me about this 20-year loan is how long is this disinfection system that you're going to be adding to it, how long is that expected to last?
Fair question. The system will last a long time. There are some equipment components that will need to be replaced or upgraded over time, but the basic structure, the tankage and whatnot, typically we look at that on a 30 to 40-year schedule. But there are some other costs, and they're not insignificant to replace pumps and some of that other equipment. But that'll occur over the time as part of our regular operation maintenance budget. So it shouldn't show up as in another capital spend at that time.
Just like to thank Ms. Miller for coming. It's always good to keep everyone on their toes. And, what I was concerned when I saw this was, and I wanted to make sure he explained to all the citizens that rates weren't going up and we were not going to repay this loan, we as the city of Bowling Green. but it's so good to hear, what is that rate increase that we voted on a year and a half ago? What has been done with that? So thank you so much for bringing that up. Appreciate it. Okay, sounds good.
Thank you,
Mike.
Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning has stepped out. Wilkerson.
Yes. Order 2016-166.
Municipal order approving an amendment to the Economic Development Bond Grant Agreement from the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development for Quiver Ventures LLC to acknowledge the change of the company name to Constellium UACJ ABS LLC and changes to the company address and contact, and authorizing execution of the amendment to the grant agreement.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Williams. Mr. Febo.
Thank you, Mayor. A little while back, the city acted as a pass-through for economic development bond grant agreement for the Kentucky Cabinet to provide an incentive to Quiver Ventures. Pursuant to that agreement, we had to act as the pass-through agent. The company has changed its name to Constellium UACJ ABS. AKA Constellium. In order to continue to make this a legal document, we need to recognize that chain. Gene, you want to add anything to that?
Comments or? Already vetted through the Job Development Incentive Program Committee. This is just a name change then. Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-167.
Municipal order approving the reappointments of Michael Coleman, Nancy Becker, and Greg Allman to the Human Rights Commission.
So move.
Second.
Second by Perigin. These are reappointments of existing members who've agreed to re-up for additional terms. We thank them for their service and all the members of the Human Rights Commission. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Municipal Order 2016-168.
Municipal order approving the reappointment of Dr. Gary Verst to the Bowling Green Community Tree Advisory Board.
So move.
Second.
Hill, second by Williams. This is a reappointment of Dr. Verst, an enthusiastic member of the tree board, so we're excited that he would like to re-up for another term. Any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. Ordinance BG 2016-26, first reading.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning a tract of land containing 0.19 acre from GB General Business to CB Central Business located at 718 State Street, presently owned by CMC Properties LLC.
So move.
Second.
Hill, second by Perigin.
Mayor, Ben Peterson is here pursuant to your pleasure if you have any questions.
First reading of a unanimous vote by the Planning and Zoning Commission for a rezoning. Are there any comments or questions? Please call the roll.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes. First reading of ordinance BG 2016-27.
Ordinance rezoning real estate. Ordinance rezoning a tract of land containing 0.99 acre from HB Highway Business to RM4 Multifamily Residential located at 556 Emmett Avenue, presently owned by New Millennium Real Estate LLC.
So move.
Second.
Ask Mr. Peterson to explain this one's not a unanimous vote, and this is may have been confusing if you'd read the packet. Just make sure we all understand what's happening here.
Yeah, it's my understanding you should have the zone change staff report as part of your package in front of you. And if the easiest way to do this, maybe if you turn to the last page of that, page 9, which is the aerial photograph that you see there. The property that is proposed to be development includes that yellow outline as well as that property behind that. So the only property that is up for this proposed rezoning is in that yellow outline. The whole development is the rest of it. And now, let me if you'll flip back a page or two here to page 7 of 9, you'll see the existing zoning, and this is the one with kind of the yellows and the maroons and the purple and the blue. So now that red outline is the property that we're talking about rezoning. That maroon piece is the other part of the development that is already zoned for this multifamily. It's RM4, so it's the high-density multifamily development. So that area that's maroon already, it has the proper zoning. It's been in place roughly since 1968. So it has been properly zoned for multifamily since 1968. The other piece that's outlined in red is the portion that is currently zoned highway business that they're proposing to rezone and include as part of this development for the multifamily development. Obviously, I can get into much more detail if you wish and answer any questions, but I think I'll stop there for just a second and see if there's any questions on just that boundary. Yes, sir.
The color that is in maroon, is that a part of the Lashart property that faces Nashville Road to the right of the red square?
That is correct. It was, all of that property was part of the old Lashart property, but this, I guess, Lashart's, as I remember it, the actual nursery part still exists facing Nashville Road. This piece is behind the gas station facing Nashville Road and continues down Emmett Avenue on that.
Now, we have houses presently in the maroon, or is that vacant?
It's vacant. If you'll turn back to that page 9 of 9, that last page there, you'll see kind of the aerial photography that was done in 2015. So you can kind of see some of the remnants of the nursery property there.
So the zoning in the purple is, I mean, they could put this development there without any opposition right now.
In the maroon they can.
I mean, in the maroon, I'm
Yes,
sorry, not the
ma'am.
purple.
Now, the other small piece that they're rezoning is zoned highway business, and that does not allow multifamily development in highway business, so that's why they're proposing to rezone it. I do have, if you're interested, copies of the detailed development plan, which is a page out of the detailed development plan that shows the layout of where they're proposing to put the buildings. And you can see they're proposing just a 6-plex building on that property that they're rezoning, but all of the other rest of it would be allowed. I think it's 82 units total.
I'd like to
Just
see it
6
then.
of those. You want to see those? Yes, sir.
Who are the developers on there? Who developers on there?
New Millennium Real Estate. It's Steve Sutton and Mike Patel.
So it appears to me that from this drawing that they're only proposing one building onto that new section.
That is correct. There's only one building on that new section. The parking, I guess it's one of the considerations that came up in the discussion. The parking lot would be allowed in that highway business. So if the zoning did not go through, then they could either reconfigure the area in the maroon to include those units and still have more parking on that blue piece, if you will, on that one piece that has the 6-plex. You know, and they could do a number of other things. I could go into detail. I mean, they could have a 6-story tall building. They could have up to 92 units just on that maroon piece alone. So there's a lot of, this is a lot less intense, if you will, development than they could have put.
Well, I know I've talked to several of the residents in the adjacent area, and Emmett is it's a 2-lane street. that already has a lot of traffic on it, and it tees into Nashville Road, which at times during the day is almost a parking lot.
Absolutely.
And there's some, there's quite a bit of concern in that area that the traffic study that was done for this development maybe was done at a time of low-density travel on Nashville Road especially.
Absolutely. Yeah, there was a lot of discussion during the meeting. It was a 3.5-hour-long meeting, not just on this item, but this item did take the bulk of that. But there was a lot of discussion. The traffic impact study was required and was completed for this development. And to try to summarize what that traffic impact study says, obviously it's a thicker document, but well, let me just read it. This said, the summary recommendations just said to construct a side entrance driveway with separate inbound and outbound lanes, turning radius in accordance with public street standards, and maintain intersection corner sight distances. That was the only two recommendations out of it. So it really did not recommend any improvements to either Nashville Road, Emmett, or any other intersection. And the way these traffic impact studies are generated, as I understand them, and I'd have to defer to a traffic engineer to give a better explanation than I'm about to give, is they're based on level of services. You may have heard that before in other terms. So this intersection, this road has a level of service A, B, C, D, or E. And so the volume of traffic already on Emmett and Nashville, as you can imagine, gives such a big common denominator of traffic to begin with. When you introduce this development in, it did not lower, at least this is what was reported in the traffic impact study, is that it did not lower that level of service to a point that required significant improvements. That, in combination with already scheduled improvements to Nashville Road by the Transportation Cabinet, went into consideration from that. As pertaining to the time they did do the counts during the summer, so Western was out, which obviously had an impact. They did try to build a factor into that to account for that. Don't know that that was received quite really well rather than having an actual count. But again, with that big common denominator of that traffic, Western obviously increases that common denominator also, so that impact, again, it was reported by the traffic engineer that would not have changed that level of service.
As much as Western, the school system, I live on Highland, and I turn left.
Absolutely.
From Highland to get to my job at the South Campus, and, you can already tell as of yesterday.
There's no doubt that there's
school's in session.
significant traffic there, even without school, but with
Yeah.
school, it's
I don't know that Western impacts it near
exponentially
as much as the schools.
sure. Absolutely.
It's tough.
So I think it's definitely a significant concern, and that was heard at the Planning Commission. And I think the residents obviously had legitimate concerns about all of those traffic things, traffic considerations about how the traffic study was done. But as you can see,
I guess my point is whether we approve this small addition to this extension of this, it's not really going to matter, because it's already there.
It's there but for one building.
Right.
Right.
So we're not approving this entire development.
Yes, except for the 6 units. The rest of it could already be constructed. In fact, based on the allowed densities in that area, if you remove that piece out and still did a development, you would still be allowed to do 92 units just on that maroon piece. Adding this on would allow you up to 120 units, and they're committed to only doing those 82 in that particular configuration.
Another concern I've been hearing about this area, basically, because I live over there, and Melinda and Rick, and most of us do, I guess, is the Swifty building and the now out of business or moved WKU store. How are they zoned?
Those zoned, if you look back at that zoning page, which I believe was 7 of 9, you can see that those are zoned highway business, those 3 parcels on the corner. So the gas station is highway business, is the one right on the corner. Right next to that is highway business. And then the next 2, let's see, what direction is that? Doesn't have a.
Coming towards Story Avenue.
Going towards Western, those next 2 on the left are Office Park residential. So basically, those are highway business is pretty high-intensity commercial zone. The Office Park residential is kind of a little lower-intensity, office-oriented area.
Where the farmer's market is. And then
Yes, absolutely. So it's a
So I get,
a little bit of a mix there.
Right. What I kind of heard is that, so the residents are concerned that that would be up for rezoning as well, for there's more apartment buildings and more traffic and more residential.
Yeah, the only way I can respond to that is we, of course, take most any application that's submitted, and we evaluate that application based on the zoning ordinance as staff. The applicant presents their side, and then the public has their say, and that's the public hearing, due process public hearing, and then the planning commission weighs those thirds, if you will, and then they make their decision or their recommendation, and it comes to you all for the final say-so. So.
They've got a tough job.
Potentially, yes, they could come up for rezoning, but doesn't mean it would automatically go. In this particular case, you just had that, 80-something% of this proposed development, 90% of this proposed development was already zoned properly. They just added that one piece to that.
Are they buying the service station too?
That I do not
But the
know.
plans are for it to stay.
As far as I know, the service station stands not part of this
understand.
application or this detailed development plan. But it's my understanding that's staying, but how long, obviously I can't answer that.
Yeah.
Are they doing something on the backside of this to screen from the Crestmore neighborhood?
If you look at that sheet I gave you, if you look at the Crestmore, let's see, and this one does have the directions on it. So that north property line, they are showing the screening. That west property line is not, but they don't show much screening, but this is, they will have to meet the landscape ordinance in order to complete this development. I guess the one thing I'll have to note is that our landscape ordinance only currently requires screening between incompatible uses. Now, the way that's defined, and I would have to check to be sure, but typically that means a commercial and a residential or industrial and residential or industrial and commercial, so different categories. As you know, multifamily and apartments is residential, and single family is also residential. But we are looking to possibly address that in future zoning ordinance changes, so you may hear that to where we have some of those buffers or screenings for other types of uses as well. I guess to that end too, these are all two-story buildings, and again, RM4 allows up to 6 stories, so the developers were trying to limit that height, but
Vote was 7, 1, and 1. Who is the 1 no and the 1 abstention?
Let's see, I believe it was in the minutes, which I do not have before me. I think I left those there, but I believe there's a copy of those minutes in your packet. Let's see here.
looking at page 6, it doesn't, 7, it doesn't say.
It does not say. I would have to check. And get back to you on that.
Questions?
Gene, can you remind us what we can and cannot do on zoning votes?
To the best of my memory, I will try. What you cannot do, you cannot simply vote this down. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think this was a unanimous decision at the Planning Commission.
No, sir.
I thought it was to rezone, it was not to approve the development plan. At least that's what our summary
Correct.
minutes, I
You're
think,
correct.
say.
I'm sorry, there were 2 votes. Yes, you are correct.
You cannot simply,
Sorry.
yeah, you cannot simply vote it down. If you vote it down, you have to come up with your own independent findings of fact and conclusions about, I think one of the examples in here is just not compatible with the neighborhood or not in compliance with the comprehensive plan, and I'll defer to staff as well for that. I don't think you want to do this. In the past, you've had a wide variety of what you could do. You could hold your own hearing if you want to do that again. You can hold a hearing if you want to do it again based on a record before the Planning Commission and let each side do arguments. You've done that, but you don't have to do either one of those. If you want to approve it, then you can simply approve this ordinance and you're finished. But again, you cannot vote the Planning Commission's recommendations down without making your own independent findings of fact and conclusions.
Within 90 days. Also.
In your opinion, this project is going to go ahead, basically, whether we approve that section or not?
Obviously, you would have to ask the developer to be sure, but I would imagine if, like I said, that piece that's highway business that was in that red on page 7 or in the yellow on the last page in the aerial, it would just include those 6 3-bedroom units. They could either incorporate those into the other part that's already zoned, or they could just simply not do those, but the parking by itself, a parking lot would still be allowed in that zone. So I would imagine, given that, then yes, it probably would go forward regardless of whether we rezone that one piece or not. That's speculation.
Comments? Call the roll. Thank you, Ms. Pearson.
Hill.
Yes.
Perigin.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Denning.
Yes?
Wilkerson.
Yes. Last item on our agenda, we have a closed session coming up, but there'll be no vote coming out. Is that correct, Mr. Febo?
Yes. No vote coming out.
All right, next meeting is scheduled for September 6th, 2016.